This is the Final Round Podcast, coming to you live from the FingerLakes1.com studios in downtown Seneca Falls, New York. And now your host, Chris Marquardt.
Good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to the Final Round Drag Racing Podcast. Excited to have you along with us for this edition. Number 47 is on deck, and it's going to be a fun one. We've got the chance to catch up with Ted Barnes here in just a few minutes. We're also going to be catching up with Carl Drake, provided the stars align the right way.
Yes.
He's got some crummy signal, and we're trying to finagle a way to get bypass the cell phone situation. And thus far, we've found a couple workarounds, but we're still doing that in the background while the show goes on. But big news to cover here as we move towards this weekend, and then and we'll be talking with Ted Barnes a little bit more about that as well here in just a few minutes. But Jason, I know Jason was excited to get that information out there as quick as possible, so I guess I'll defer to you and let's take it from there.
Well, I want to say the big news, but this weekend's events out at Empire are the Sportsman National event, essentially out at Empire Dragway. So we have the TNT Super Series with the basically let's call it Super Street or Hot Rod classes on the 7.0 index and the 8th mile. West New York Super Rod Association, so Super Rod running at 640 index in the 8th mile. They have Empire is running actually Super Comp, and they're actually running quarter mile, so 890 in the quarter mile. And the Can-Am Stock and Super Stock Series is going to be running there as well. They're going to be running on the quarter mile too. So basically when IHRA kind of went, let's call it defunct with class racing, a bunch of tracks. Dragway 42 did this earlier this year, and Empire is another one. Said, hey, we're going to give you guys a place to race your classes that you like to race, and so it's finally upon us with Empire. So in addition to all the classes, they have their normal box and no box competition.
It's going to be a busy weekend.
But yeah, it's going to be a busy weekend, both Saturday and Sunday. You're going to have double classes for both, so should be good. And I know we're not going to have everybody, all of our regulars out there out at Dragway 42. They have a dual 20K race, one on Saturday, one on Sunday, I believe. And that's what we're going to... Carl Drake, I figured, was actually going to be out there, but it doesn't sound like he's out at Dragway 42, which I'm a little surprised because he won one of the SFG Buckeye Bracket Bash races at Dragway 42 a couple of weeks ago, and that was $75,000 to win. So I would have thought that he would have gone back there to see if he could, I guess, double down or add to his winnings. But I guess it sounds like he decided to stay home this weekend, which maybe he decided it's time for a vacation.
Well, you got to figure if you keep winning money like that, you got to worry about the tax on the backside, right?
Eventually. Yeah, and maybe he decided that, hey, you know what?
Somebody else had a crack at it.
Sure, right.
Because you said second at the Twin Tens, right?
He took second at the Twin Tens as well. Yep.
And that was the race that Thomas Fletcher won.
Correct. Yep, we had on a couple of weeks ago. And trying to get Ted on the phone, I'm assuming.
Yep.
And
due to network problems, that line will not connect.
Oh. Well, let me see if we can get Ted potentially on the phone here. We can figure something out for sure.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
But yeah, so I'm definitely interested in talking to Carl Drake. Carl's been doing a lot of bracket racing, a lot of traveling too. And, like I said, he may have just decided, hey, you know what, now that I've won a little bit of money in the last few weeks, I'm going to relax a little bit and kind of take a vacation. So
Better, he couldn't wait to spend that money, and the motor's out getting rebuilt already.
I'd be interested to know how many passes he's made on his car this year, but I'm sure it's a couple of hundred at least. And he has a Pro Charge dragster, so it's not something that is, let's call it, zero maintenance. It certainly requires some maintenance when you're going, 650s in the quarter mile and in a dragster. So yeah, who knows? He may be having his stuff rebuilt and planning on for the fall, because I know he does go down south and bracket races at the races down in Florida and stuff like that. So that may be what he's
year-round guy?
What was that?
Does that make him a year-round guy? I mean, does he do that by design, or is it just a couple hit and miss shows down there?
No, I mean, I think he pretty much runs year-round. It's he does a lot of racing. He really does.
Right.
And I will say, to be perfectly honest, I don't know Carl personally all that well. But yeah, I'm really interested to kind of talk to him and find out exactly what it is from a racing standpoint that he kind of does. I know he comes from a racing family, but that's about it.
Comes from a racing family. Not the first time that phrase has been said on here.
It is not. Yeah, it is not. So same network error.
It's ringing.
Okay.
Hopefully it's not to the call center. Hey, Ted, can we put you in? Apparently he's not being hurricaned right now, and he now has service. So we got Ted on the line. Ted, how are you?
Yeah, I'm well. How are you?
We're doing okay. Ted Barnes, series founder of the TNT Super Series. Part of a gigantic weekend over there at Empire. You looking forward to this or what?
Oh, yeah. I've been looking forward all year long.
Because it's the last race of the year?
Yeah. Well, there is that. No, it's, you know what? It's going to be a great weekend down at Empire. They do a great job. And you know, with this being part of the Sportsman National thing is pretty cool. And, I mean, for us, we got 3 races this weekend, right? We're Friday night Lancaster, and then we drive to Empire, and we hit for Saturday and Sunday, so it's pretty cool.
What kind of toll does that take on the racers? Do they embrace it from out of town and despise it when they're local, or do they tend to embrace it locally as well?
Yeah, you know what? We get, judging from the car count and the feedback that I get, they seem to like it. You know, traveling once, right, with multiple hits at the racetrack, everybody likes that.
Yeah.
And then, you know, the trip between Lancaster and Empire is, you know, 45 minutes or an hour maybe. So, yeah, everybody seems to support it quite a bit.
That's good to hear. I mean, with that many different divisions running, I mean, it would almost make sense to group your shots just to get more incentive and more cars there. And you guys have been able to successfully put that together with the TNT dates at Lancaster and Empire on Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't supposed to be that way for this weekend. The Friday, tomorrow night at Lancaster wasn't originally on the schedule, but we had a rain out middle of August, and then so we just looked to reschedule and thought, you know what, let's tack it onto this and make it just one big, go out for the year with a bang, right?
Right. What'd you find over there?
Well, I'm wondering, hey, Ted, how are you?
I'm good.
Good.
What's going on?
I would say, well, I'm glad you were able to join us. I mean, obviously, you and I are kind of kindred spirits with regards to, you know, running series and all the work that goes along with them. And I guess, you know, going into this final weekend, you know, where does your points series currently stand? I mean, with 3 races left, I would assume that it's probably just about anybody's championship to take at this point, right?
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. You know, we've been doing this, like you say, kindred spirits. I mean, or glutton for punishment. I don't know which one it is, but you know, this is the 12th year for the TNT Super Series, which, I mean, I just can't believe it, right? I mean, when we started this, when Joe Bonifero and I got together and we started this thing, you know, we didn't think it would last this long, but what's interesting is that every year, you know, we get down near the end of the season and the points race is so tight. Like right now, for example, now remember, we've only had 8 races. We had 2 of them wash out 3 of them wash out completely, and then these 2 left. So now 3 left, right? So,
right.
So really, yeah, like a lot can change this weekend. A lot can change. And when you look at our points, I mean, you've got 3rd place with 477 points, and you got 10th place with 450 points. And our point system is essentially the same as, you know, the IHRA or NHRA sort of divisional points. Right. Plus we tack on qualifying points, Jason. You know that intimately, right?
Right.
So I mean, most of your listeners will be familiar with that. But you know, to go into the last weekend, 3 races to go, 27 points separating 3rd to 10th. You know, and then only another, you know, 70 to 1st place. It really is. There's a whole bunch of guys who can, you know, if the top of the pack has a bad weekend or a bad day even, things will change dramatically.
Right. I think Chris was just looking through the points standings and was a little baffled that my name wasn't in the top 10 there.
Nope, not true.
It must be a mathematical error.
Yeah,
No.
It's got to be a typo. I don't know, or I haven't received your check. I don't think, Jason. I'm not sure.
Right.
Joe Karasik and Jim
Subchinsky?
That's the one.
Okay.
They're 5th.
Okay.
Going back through 10th, Pat Bonifero and Kevin Orr.
Yep.
All those guys have 8 races in. We
Okay.
started talking about 3rd place with Tyler Helene.
Yep.
8 races. Billy Lieber's tied for 3rd with 7 races in.
Yes.
So he did okay
Yeah,
this year.
which is quite interesting, right? Because we have 40 points for a perfect attendance bonus. So Lieber and Sherman-Chusky don't have that. They've actually really had a better performance, but because of that, they're tied. They're sort of stuck there, right? If they'd even showed up for that one race, they'd have 40 more points than what they have.
Right. Yeah, and I mean, I have to say that I think you and I are, on the same page really with regards to that. Is that, you really do want to reward the guys that are, basically regulars on the series, right? I mean, if you show up at every race, I want to reward you for that.
Yeah.
And
but not make it impossible, right? So
Exactly.
It's not impossible. They could still win this thing.
That's right.
But they've got a little bit more to overcome because they missed a race. I mean,
but that's reflected in what they're looking
right?
at.
So,
They don't have to do mental math, and try and calculate what it is. What they're looking at is the true point standings going into the last weekend.
yeah, that's right.
Right.
That's right. And if you're looking at the website, there's a waiver point column and the total point column. So the waiver point one is interesting because we take off the 2 worst races. So if somebody's worst race is a 3rd round loss, they could lose first round tomorrow and still move up in the points.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So things are going to move around.
So the end of this. So you've had 8 races so far this year.
Yeah, 8 have completed.
Okay. All right. So, I mean, it's amazing. Honestly, Ted, I'm really surprised. I mean, so 11 races total is what you're going to have this year. When you first started the TNT Super Series, how many races did you have very first year?
Oh, that's a good question. You know what? I don't even know the answer to that off the top of my head. I would say we sort of always hovered around kind of 8 to 11 races. This year with 13 on the original schedule, that's the most we've ever had. Well, really 14 when you add the race champions. We've always tried to hover around, really probably around 10 or 11 races.
Yeah. And
to make it interesting, right? I mean, to make it interesting.
Sure. Oh, absolutely. I mean, and obviously, most of the races. I mean, you've been doing the double race weekend thing for quite a while.
Yeah.
So if you were racing at Toronto Motorsports Park, you do a double, or Grand Bend, you were doing a double. I know you did lots of weekends where Friday night at Lancaster, Saturday at Empire, which effectively becomes a double for someone traveling as well. And that's the thing. I mean, so even though with 12 races, it's really only still 6 weekends that somebody is dedicating to race all of the races in TNT, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And then we're pretty conscious of that too, right? I mean, everybody's got, a life and other things to do and other races to go to. And so we've always tried to keep it. And you know what? Scheduling is tough. I mean, you think it's easy, but well, Jason, how hard it is. I mean, because, you don't want to be, up against this race. You don't want to be up against that race. You start to pare that down, you run out of weekends.
Right. Yeah. And, it's funny too, because, last year we did a race on Labor Day, and I said, you know what, I'm not doing a race on Labor Day again because people got stuff going on with families and all the rest of it. And then here I am a week before Labor Day, and I literally had 5 different people messaging me, hey, are we racing this weekend? And I'm like, well, let me throw it out there and see if we got guys that are interested. And within 30 minutes, I had 10 people that were like, yeah, I want to race. And I'm like, what the heck?
Right.
I'm like, last year it was a disaster trying to have a race on Labor Day. And today I got people kicking my door in that they want to have a race. And
I'm thinking, we didn't race this year on Labor Day weekend, and we almost always have historically. Yeah, I mean, you know what? I didn't miss it.
I will say it was a fun, I mean, for us, it was a fun weekend. I kind of dropped the ball a little bit. I mean, it was the same weekend as John Cera Jr.'s high roller race at Empire. So it was fun because we finished up fairly early, and then we got to sit around and have a couple of pops and watch all the guys in the high roller races. But as it turned out, Sunday's weather ended up being okay, but it really looked iffy. And if I would have done it right, we could have had a second race Saturday night and run in between the rounds of the high roller race. And I guess next year, or maybe we'll do that again. I don't know. Of course.
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of that. I run into that too, right? I mean, it's like, oh, the season's coming to an end. Everybody wants to race, and you schedule another one in October.
Right.
And but then you're up against the weather gets, like you say, a little more sketchy. And you know what? And quite frankly, the series is we structure pretty tightly, and we have sponsors for each weekend, and to make it happen. And I throw an impromptu race in there, and where's the money coming from?
That's right.
Well, we give away more money than we take in.
Right.
And so, I need a sponsor to do that, right? And actually, I should plug, Jan 10 Motorsports. They're presenting Friday night, and then of course Sam Levitro Automotive is our presenter for Championship Weekend at Empire. Can't do it without people like that.
No, Joe's Transmission does the whole series, right?
Yeah, Joe's Transmissions. He's been the title sponsor since inception, and you know what? And he's a good friend of mine, and really, I can't say enough about the work. It's not just the races. It's the banquet. It's gathering up all the prize packages. Our champion's going to walk away with about $4,000 worth of stuff.
Wow.
Show me a series that does that anymore. And second through eighth gets a bunch of stuff, and then if you're a points member, which everybody who races has to join the points, if you're at our banquet, you're going to get a prize, probably around $200 in value. So
not bad.
And it's all sponsored, right? It's all sponsored stuff. So it's just, the support's been unbelievable. And I could rhyme off all the sponsors. It would take me 20 minutes to do it.
Well, it sounds like you've got all the people. It sounds like you've got all the contacts to put together a fall series for everybody.
Yeah. But a lot of it goes back to Joe and contacts he's got, and he's been in business for a long time in the performance business, right? So he knows a lot of people, and so that helps out, immensely, right?
Right.
Immensely. Yeah.
Yeah, that's one thing, Ted, that you've done just a really fantastic job of is the sponsorship aspect of it. Like you said, we're in the same boat. We give away more money than we take in, so we need sponsors for every race. And but the sponsorship that you have to put on as many races as you have is great, and obviously the prize package that you have for your overall series champion is fantastic. And the prizes that you have at the banquet, that's just ridiculous too. You've done a fantastic job, and I have to say that I've really tried to model, on a smaller scale, but tried to model, our series essentially after all the things that you've done, because you've done it the right way, in my opinion.
Well, thanks. I appreciate it. But quite frankly, it's a group effort, for sure. And we get lots of support. We get lots of racers. Actually, a lot of racers are sponsors too. But even just the car counts, right? We get guys showing up to race. So when we're getting 25, 30, 35 cars showing up, how do you say, oh well, geez, I guess we this thing seems to be working, right? It's great. It's pretty nice to see it when you come to the racetrack and you put all that work in, and then you see all these people showing up to actually race in your deal,
Does it feel like it's been 10 years? I was going back through the archives, and you're right on the money, being right around that 10 mark. The first year, I think it was, I went away. Yeah, Ted Barnes. That's what I thought. Ted Barnes won the championship that year, and he ran 5 Canadian races and 4 U.S. races. So there's 10 right there, or 9 right there.
Yeah, that was actually the second year.
Oh, okay.
That was actually the second year, but the first year we didn't use the same point system, and
Gotcha.
we still had a champion and whatnot, but does it feel like 10 years? What's interesting is this sort of thing, like a podcast on the internet, didn't exist when we started this series.
Not really, no.
There's not really. But I think about that a lot. I've been thinking about that this year, and just around, of some of the technology and things that happen now. Like I communicate with my race teams now on Facebook. I communicate with 95% of them, which I couldn't do before. We started a Facebook page for just the race teams, right? Mm-hmm. And we communicate to them not only in between races, but at the racetrack. Right. We post qualifying, we post ladders, and everybody knows it now, so they're not running around looking for a ladder. They're just pulling up their phone, going, "Yep, okay, there it is." And that we didn't have that in the beginning, and sure. So when I look at it that way, yeah, I feel like I'm old. I feel like it's been around a long.
Yeah, I will say that was a really good idea. Ted, I don't know if that was your idea, but
yeah, nope, not my idea. And I have no original ideas. I have nothing original.
But yeah, that was a really good idea, and I know that I enjoy when I compete in the series, basically just being able to. And I have to say, because I don't race as many races in your series as a lot of the other guys do, is that I forget about that at times, and it's just usually before I'm coming over to your trailer to look at the ladder, I'm like, oh yeah, I don't have to. I can just do it right on my phone, and that's
right.
It's super convenient. I will say that we have kind of posted all of our ladders. At least I try to post the ladders on our public Facebook page, so everybody can see them. But it's tough. It's hard being a competitor and doing all the marketing while you're trying to race and dial the car and everything else at the same point in time. And that's again, you've done a good job in recruiting some people to help you out to kind of keep all of that running.
Yeah, we've had lots of help. We've had different people over the years. Russ and Arlene Parker were sort of the first ones to really sort of jump in and help us run a race on race day, and it's morphed through a bunch of different people. Now it's Charlene Lepp has been doing a lot of it in the last couple of years. Even Lori Orr was helping out this year, but and they'll do all of it. I don't have to worry about, are the payouts done? Did we have a ladder? Is the ladder right? Did the tower mess up and is someone else on the ladder and we have to rejig it? They take care of all that stuff, and I can't thank them enough. Right? It's just because I race in the series, and you really can't do both without help.
Right. It's virtually impossible to do it without good help. You've got so many duties that you're responsible for. Just with the series, as Jason was saying, to try and give your car all of your focus, it's just not going to happen.
Well, and it's not even that you can't do it. The problem is it's not fun to do it anymore.
Yeah, absolutely. The best times I have at the racetrack is I go out early in hot rod and I enter Super Pro, and it's like.
Well, and I've told Phil Harnden this. I've told other people this. The most fun that I have racing is when I race TED Series, because I'm just there as a competitor. I'm doing what I want. Yeah. I run pro tree races, but all I'm doing is I'm just a competitor. I'm not doing anything else. And
yeah, because it's in the back of your mind, right? You're thinking, oh well, if there's an issue on the racetrack, I think about even just the how the series is perceived, right? So if there's an issue or something, I want to make sure it gets resolved smoothly. And so that's in the back of your head, all the time.
Yeah, and it's even little things too. This never happens with me, but if I were to happen to lose first round, I can't pack up and go home.
Yeah, dude, tell me, I'm always the last guy to leave.
Oh, I know.
I'm loading my trailer. Everybody's gone.
Yeah.
I've had the track. I was at a track. The lights, everything shut off, and I'm like, I'm not even loaded up yet, right? And I'm like, are you kidding? Right?
Well, because you have to do winter circle pictures and all the rest of that stuff, right? So, yep, I know exactly how that is.
Even the races he doesn't win.
Oh yeah, even the races you don't win. Yeah, you got to stand there. You might be miserable too. It's like you just had a really crappy night, but you got to go down there and smile in the winter circle pictures for everybody.
Yeah, that's right. Absolutely.
And the thing obviously that's tough for you too is that if you're not, I don't know, would you consider Toronto Motorsports Park your home track?
Geographically, yes.
Yeah. Okay. So. If you're at Empire, it's not a 10-minute drive home for you. Empire for us is...
it's 2.5, 3 hours.
Right.
Easy for me, right? But it is what it is. You know what? I'd rather drive to the racetrack in the rain and turn around and come home than sit at home early and get, and say, oh, well, I guess we couldn't get the race in.
Yeah.
So That's just, for me, that's just part of the deal is, you're on the road.
It might have been you that said it. I don't know if it was or not, but I remember somebody either posting it on Facebook or saying it in person. And that's another thing too, is that, leading up to a race, for us, this is our final weekend as well. And we got a big event being sponsored by Banner Engineering. We got a whole bunch of people coming out for this weekend. And so I've been worrying about the weather all week. And that's just one more thing that adds stress to your life as a race director, wondering about the weather, right? But as a racer, as a competitor, if all the races that you potentially were going to have rain that you didn't go to, right? How many races would you not have gone to because there was potential for rain? And if you want to race, you're going to get your stuff and you're going to pack up and you're going to drive to the races and make the best of it, essentially.
Yeah. I mean, as someone had said once, it was you got to be there to win.
Right.
And, if you're not willing to wait out the rain, I mean, you got to be there. You got to be there to win. Right. So I mean, that's it, right? But yeah, no, it's we're pretty excited about this weekend, and that's what I'm doing tonight is just finishing up all the final preparations and all the paperwork and everything that goes with it, and we made some changes this year too. I should throw those in here too. I mean, we guarantee $1,000 now at every race.
Right.
We almost always had the car count for that. But,
right.
Sometimes it was 800 or 700. And I mean, we upped the entry fee to go with it, but then we upped the round money, like $75 a round. When you win second round, you're leaving with $150.
Yeah, that's good money.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Yeah,
it's.
I was just going to say, I'm sure your competitors were doing the same thing. I mean, obviously we share some competitors, but I'm sure the rest of your competitors are doing the same thing that our competitors were, which was, begging us really to...
Losing to Harry Phelps.
Yeah, right. Well, begging us to increase the entry fee to pay more money. I mean, whether it's $60 to enter or $100 to enter really ended up being negligible to the vast majority of our racers. But then you say, okay, well now because of that extra $40 that we're going to get per person, we can up the purse from $800 to $1,000 and pay better round money. People are all like, yeah, we're all in. That sounds great.
And it's so far this year, I mean, I would say the car count's probably dropped a little bit for us. We've probably lost those people that would come for maybe just one race.
Yep.
And I mean, whatever, that's fine. I mean, that's their, that's their right to do that. But, I mean, we've got, religiously, probably 30 plus racers that follow us, right?
Oh, absolutely.
And we're always getting new guys. I mean, there's new guys every year.
Right.
I thought, last year with the whole changes with IHRA and everything, what was going to happen with throttle stop racing, well, it's still pretty alive and well in Western New York, I can tell you that.
Yeah, so I will say that our car count has been down a little as well, and I think that I attribute that, I guess, to a couple of things. Number one, I think I attribute it really to my poor effort execution this year. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind that part of it is my fault, but in addition,
you need a good PR guy.
I do need a good PR guy. I need a lot of good.
No, absolutely, absolutely. We all do, right? I mean, we started. That's the other thing. Like when I first started this deal, we did press releases all the time,
right?
And that was like almost a mandate. It was like I need to make the series look like it's massive,
right?
Right. But the thing is with the press release was designed to go in an email blast. And it was designed to go to...
It would go out as an email blast, but it would go to a bunch of, internet-based, drag racing publications. And a lot of them would pick us up, right? I mean,
right.
A lot of them would pick it up. And we still do the press, like the post-race press release. We still do that. But it's funny. It's so much of it now is social media. You know?
But you can take that...
So much of it. I mean, go ahead.
But you can take that and swing that social media to your advantage. You can get a video editing system that is infinitely cheap that can be loaded on a moderate laptop, and you can put together highlights from your past races and throw that on social media. You can go Facebook Live with that kind of stuff. You can go Facebook Live from your shop and just say, hey, we're getting ready to go, whatever, and you can do a video press release, and it's going to have more effect than sitting at a computer for 15, 20 minutes trying to spell check a press release that you only know so many eyes are going to fall on because the hard copy email blast stuff that's going to local newspapers, local radios, they aren't going to play that, and they aren't going to read that, and they aren't going to print that. But you spin that the other way, and you're doing more than what you were doing when you're in the days when you're writing press releases, just by parlaying the social media aspect of it.
Yeah, and I will say that the press release thing. I mean, it took. I have to say, and that's one thing that I have not done a very good job of in the last, year or two. Yeah, I mean, Chris and I have talked about this, and it takes so much time to do those, right, Ted? I mean.
Well, it takes a lot of time. And, I mean, going back to the social media thing, I mean, we go Facebook Live now if we can, depending on the track and the internet signal. We'll go Facebook Live in eliminations, and maybe not for the whole thing, but, for the semis or the final. And I mean, the beauty is it's live, so people can watch it, but it's also then saved on the Facebook page, so people can watch it later. And then the best part is you get statistics, right? You can say, hey, wait a sec, this thing was watched like 500 times? Mm-hmm. Like, really? You know, or whatever it is, and I mean, even the ads or the promoting of something on Facebook, like the promoting of events. I mean, it's so inexpensive, and it still amazes me. I mean, I'm not a marketing guy, and it amazes me that what do you mean we got this many people looked at that, or this many people clicked on the click through, or what have you, right? Like sponsors love that stuff; they love to see that. But
and when you can start pulling unique numbers.
Necessarily doing it for that coverage, but they like it.
Those unique IPs, when you can start pulling stats on that, we can geek out on stats all night long. This is Chris's wheelhouse.
If you haven't already guessed that, Ted, this is exactly the stuff that he likes to do. And I was kind of chuckling. I don't think I was on camera. Maybe I was. I was chuckling though as he was talking about doing video highlights and all the rest of it. And it's like, Chris, this is assuming that you have somebody that actually knows how to do this stuff, right?
You do.
Well.
Yeah. Well, maybe I should talk to Chris. We should make a deal.
He might. Do you have a passport, Chris?
No, I don't. But I would get an enhanced.
Okay, we'll get Chris an enhanced license, and he can start traveling for you, Ted.
Yeah, it's that's the deal. I mean, that's where we are now, right? I mean, I think the future of drag racing is, Motor Mania TV, and I mean, they got in at the right time, and they're doing a great job. And when we had our 5Ks at Empire, and we had them covered by Motor Mania, I mean, it was amazing. Right. And now you can do that stuff on social media, not obviously at the same quality, but that there's as many. Well, there's more people that watch it at home. They go to the racetrack. And, I read all these posts about people, there's nobody in the stands. No, but they're at home on their computer. So let's leverage that.
Right.
And let's make it so they can watch it and make it so it makes money for the sponsors. I mean, there's ways to do that, right?
Right. Chris, that's one of the biggest complaints around here is well, I can sit home and watch it, so why am I going to go to the track? If the weather's iffy, I'm going to sit home and not go to the track. That's proven time and time again to be inaccurate. It is a false assumption.
Right.
Because if you are a fan, if you enjoy drag racing, if you like seeing cars make passes down the track and you can get to the track, you're going to go. You're not going to take that option. The weird little twist is that weather thing, but you've got the diehards that come. The advantage of it is so many times where racing people, be whatever walk, take your pick, will not go to a series or to a track until they've got the chance to go there once beforehand. They want to go test it out. They want to take a test drive of the track without their car. They want to see the procedures. They want to see the facility. They want to see the power. They want to see all of that stuff before they do anything. That gets that out of the way. By being on social media, having that video, that preview is out of the way. Yeah. The first time they come to the track, they're bringing a car now.
Right.
And they're coming from all over. It's making the world smaller.
And I agree, but the other piece is you're going to get the people that are not close, that physically can't come to the racetrack.
That's
that
right.
are now watching your race.
That's right.
And so many people come to the racetrack now. They're not buying hot dogs and French fries because they're bringing their own.
Right.
So the track's not really losing any money, but they're gaining an audience, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. And I basically, when I equate it to people, I basically tell them it's just like me with going to Bills games. I love the Buffalo Bills. I go to exactly 0 Bills games every single year. The stadium experience for me, I just don't enjoy it at all. And if they didn't show games on TV, I would never watch a Bills game ever again. Because
especially after last Sunday.
well, yeah, especially after last Sunday for sure. But
yeah.
but yeah.
You know what, guys? Like often, and you guys have probably done it. Like I've been home on the weekend, and I mean, like I don't have the time to go to the racetrack. I mean, and I'm about as like I love racing. I mean, it's the sanctuary for me, right? But you know what? On a Friday night or a Saturday night, I'll turn on some drag race that's streaming out of Memphis or somewhere, you know, and I'll throw it on the big screen. And you know what? Now I'm an audience, and now I'm seeing those sponsor flashes and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I feel like that's where it's going, you know, and the industry just has to grab a hold of it.
We just need to get a little bit better cell phone service out at Empire, and then we can turn Chris loose.
Yeah, there you go.
That's all you need. That's all you need.
We have talked. I mean, we've talked about doing live streaming from Empire and stuff like that. And I know I did it when we were at Dragway 42 because the cell service was great at Dragway 42. But yeah, it's just so spotty and terrible, unfortunately, at Empire that we can't do it just yet. But
we've been live there, but we would have to have the tower access to do it. And then we would be looking down the track. You'd be so limited based on camera angles.
Right.
But, I mean, something's better than nothing.
Yeah. Oh, I agree.
Right.
Yeah, and we should talk to Jerry. And I'm going to see if I can twist Chris's arm to come out to the track maybe this weekend. And
production meeting afterwards, we can talk about it?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. Meet me at the trailer.
Okay. You're going to be there too, right?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that'll be there.
Yeah, I know. It's his race, Jason. Did you know that?
Oh, partially, yes. Well, before we appreciate you coming on. Before we turn you loose, because I know that you're busy. I know I got a pile of stuff that I need to do too, but I got another half an hour podcast at least to do here before I can start doing Western Super Rod Association stuff. But is there anything else that you want to mention to everybody before we let you go?
Yeah, you know what? I mean, the only thing I would add is if you don't already know, if some of the viewers don't already know, the points fees waived this weekend. So if you want to come out and try it out, you know, it's $100, and I've already talked about, you know, what the payouts are like. So, you know, try it out. It is the most competitive racing that around. I mean, it is absolutely insane, the packages that these guys put together and the competition, but then it's the camaraderie. Like the group of guys is phenomenal. You know, so we just have a really, really good time.
Yep.
Yeah. That's it.
Cool. Yeah, completely agree. But you shouldn't be saying it's so competitive. You should be saying it's super easy. Anybody can do it.
Yeah, I wish I could tell you that, but you know what? I mean, it's you know, you get a round win in this series, and it's a big deal.
Oh, it is definitely. There's no doubt. It is super, super difficult. I mean, we talked about it last week at our last race.
Coming from the guy who's 33rd in points.
Right. Yeah. There isn't. I mean, we were talking about it in our series a couple of weeks ago. I mean, there's not a duck out there, right? I mean, everybody there has won a big event. Everybody there is good. There's nobody there that you can say, oh, geez, I'm really glad that I'm lining up against him because I have an easy run. It just doesn't happen. Anybody in the field really could be the winner that day. And I mean, you know, and again, show me a series where that's the case, right? Right.
And you know, it's, on the one hand, that kind of sucks because I mean, it'd be nice to have, you know, but who wants to, you know, when you get a win and you get through a field like that, it feels great. You know, because you really, really did something, right?
Right.
And it's funny because when the series started, we started it as a way to practice up to go race nationally and divisionally, but what it turned into was, I mean, the competition level just went through the roof. Didn't really plan that. I didn't think about that very well.
Right. I think it's better to have a competitive series, especially at this time of the year, because it keeps those guys coming out. It's easy. If you're 23rd in points and have no shot at getting any higher than that, and you're outside of the significant money, it's easy to just say, well, my motor's too wore out, or I don't want to buy the tires, something like that. As tight as this is, you've got guys that are a ways down the ladder that still have an outside crack with the right strokes of luck to come away with a championship, and they're looking at for, you know, a couple grand in prizes plus the rest of it. I mean, it's not a bad thing. It's not a bad problem to have, not in my mind anyway.
Yeah. And the other piece I'll add, Chris, I mean, at our banquet, and we just started this last year, but when we do those prizes, you know, those like you say, those prize packages that are on average about $200, we pull names based on the points.
Sure.
So even if you're 17th and you move up to 14th, you're gonna go up 3 places sooner. You know what I mean? Like at the banquet, you're gonna go up sooner and have a better pick of the table. So I mean, every spot counts.
Yeah, absolutely.
points.
Absolutely.
Every spot counts. Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. It's a good time.
It's always good to have you on. We'll look forward to maybe catching up this weekend. How about that?
Yeah, sounds great.
Have a good weekend. Wish you the best. Hopefully it's safe. Everybody walks away in one piece, and it's as competitive as it's been all year.
Awesome. Thanks again.
We'll see you later, Ted.
Bye now.
It was Ted Barnes with the TNT Super Series. I think we've got one Carl Drake waiting in the wings here. We're going to be catching up with him. So, yeah, big racing weekend at Empire. If you're looking to get your fix on Friday, you've got your opportunity at Lancaster, then Saturday and Sunday. The doubleheader event over at Empire. And we've got Carl Drake balancing act happening so that we can get Carl in. There's Carl.
Yeah, I'm here.
Perfect. We got you. How are you doing tonight?
I'm good, man. How are you guys?
We're doing just fine. Appreciate you coming on and that we were able to figure out a way to get you through. I understand the reception's pretty spotty down there, but where there's a will, there's a way. So welcome to final round number 47. Appreciate you coming on. You looking forward to racing this weekend?
Yeah, I wanted to go to back to Dragway 42, but prior commitments called. I got my kids and couldn't miss the time away from them. So I might just go local and have to give somebody else a shot at those 20s.
I was telling Chris earlier that I was surprised that potentially it didn't sound like you were going to be going to 42 this weekend. I mean, that's really we touched on it earlier in the show and before you came on that you won one of the 75K races at the Buckeye Bracket Bash back in August, and I figured for sure you'd be going back to Dragway 42 this weekend to try and take home one of the 20 grand races.
Yeah, we were. It was on the schedule. I mean, me and my father have kind of put aside all the local bracket racing scene this year and just wanted to try to concentrate on traveling around and going to the bigger money event. And it was on the list to do, but some stuff came up with my kids, and it's the most important thing. So I kind of have to. That's what I have to do first.
Well, yeah, I mean, family commitments always come first, right? There's no doubt about that. So, could certainly understand that not going. But so I'm curious that that $75,000 to win race, was that the biggest race that you've ever won?
Yes, yep. That's my biggest one to date. I've knocked on the door. I've been real close for 100 a couple times and 50s a couple times, but never got to finish them. That's the biggest check I got on my wall right now.
I'm going to take Jason's line here, and that's not life-changing money, but that is some significant money. What does that 75K do for your racing season or for your racing future?
Well, to be completely honest with you, earlier in the year I've had some good success earlier in the year too. I might not have got the total win, but I got I've been to almost every single SFG race, and I managed to cash in a lot of times at the different splits and stuff. So I've been fortunate enough that I've gone enough rounds and raced on kind of on house money already, and then that just kind of really put me in the green. So stuff that we were thinking about maybe not doing beforehand, now we can go ahead and send it out and go do. So I think I might go to the million now and double enter the million. And
I think you'd have to. I mean, honestly, I'd be surprised if I'd be shocked, honestly, if you didn't.
Yeah, we talked about. I've only been 2 times. My first time I was like just after my rookie season. Really prepared for it, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
And then I went in 2013, but I went solo with a friend of mine, Jesse Alberts, and it was kind of rough with weather and fog and everything else. So, so it's been a while since I've been back, and I kind of feel like I've improved a lot and honed my craft a lot. So I'm trying to go back and see if I can get lucky enough and see what happens.
Now, Carl, when did you start racing, I guess, on a regular basis, let's call it, with the fast cars, if you will. I mean, the very first, I guess, exposure that I had to you was back at ESTA in like 2012. I think you won. That was one of Vince Mussolino's high dollar races, which I think you won that race, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
I think you were driving a red Chevy too. Is that your dad's car you were
I started
driving?
driving when I was 21. As actually when I started driving. When I was younger, girls and basketball and everything else was like a main priority. But 21, I started racing full time. My dad stuck me right in Super Pro. I didn't get to race like pro or junior dragster or anything. He just said, put me with the big boys instead, let her eat.
Yep.
And I got lucky, I did well my first year. I ended up winning I won the first time we ever traveled. I went to ACO. I won a $20,000 race, my very first rookie year.
Wow.
And then just subsequently after that, I just got, did more and more and better. And Vince, the first one they had was in 2010. They called it the Bad Hombre 10K, and I won it actually on a mulligan.
Oh, no kidding.
The very next year, I repeated and won it again with a door car.
So maybe it was 2011 then. It was 2011 that you won with the Chevy 2?
Yep. Okay. 2011. That was my third time in the Chevy 2.
Okay, all right. So that's when it was. And I have to say I was really, I didn't know you at all at the time, and I had to say I was super impressed. And I remember watching you and the packages that you were putting together, and this is God's honest truth. I mean, I walked away from that race thinking to myself, man, this kid's going to be really good, and if he gets the opportunity to travel, he's going to be very, very competitive and hard to beat. Going to a race like that, and taking a door car to a big dollar bracket race with a whole bunch of dragsters, that's not easy. That's definitely not easy.
No, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, I begged my dad forever to let me. My dad cycles through cars real quick. If you guys don't know that, and you're forced to learn to get used to a car and get acclimated to it real fast. And I begged him all the time to let me race a door car, and he would never let me. And then finally, he said, "Okay, go ahead," and it's basically the same thing. Just gotta get used to the burnout and everything,
Right.
But I don't know. That Chevy 2 was literally. We still can almost get in knockout drag downs over. I was so mad when he sold it because that car was just so unbelievably nasty.
I was just going to ask if you guys still own that car, but that's moved down the road too, huh?
Yeah. The last time I ever raced it, I was in the final for 10 at a Mockley against Troy Williams, and then like a couple weeks later, it got sold to a guy in Canada, and then he sold it to somebody in England. So there's no way I'm ever going to see that car again.
Well, certainly, it's well, I won't say never, right? Billy Lieber actually just came upon his old 63 Nova that he sold back in, I think he said 99 or something like that. And, he sold that car to a guy in California, and it made its way back to Dragway 42. And now, I don't know if that's back in Billy's garage yet, but it's on its way back to Billy's garage here. So I wouldn't say...
It would be awesome if we could find it again. I don't know. Last time I got a couple years ago, a guy sent me a screenshot of him driving it on the road, and then it was on gas at the time, and the temperature gauge was buried at like 260. I'm like, oh, that's beautiful. This guy.
Well, I guess we'll cross our fingers. But your current car, certainly has been very good for you. Who built that dragster you're driving now?
I got that in the end of October 2017. It's a Diamond race car, Dan Davies from White House, Ohio.
Okay.
Diamond chassis. And Richie Forbes did the motor work on it from Forbes Automotive. And it's a F1R Pro Charger. It's a 532 aluminum.
And how much... Now, the F1... So, I am not a Pro Charger expert at all, and... I've learned a little bit more about it, I guess, over the last 6 months and talking to Billy Lieber as he's put his motor together. I think he might have the F1X?
Yeah, he has the F1X. The F1R is the baby one. It's the small one.
Okay. And
that thing for bracket racing purposes, it's still, it's more than enough. I just wanted a real fast bracket setup, and it's on a real light tune-up right now, and I mean, I'm going 420s, 430s, no problem. Not even pushing it.
That's
Who did we get into that debate about the Pro Charger with?
As far as what, Chris?
Just talking about what it is, what it was, what it does, the improvements.
Oh,
do you remember that?
I don't, honestly.
It was probably over a dozen episodes ago.
Wow, yeah, I don't remember the discussion, but I mean, it's just amazing to me. Really, I'm considerably older than you, Carl, and if you would have asked me, 25 years ago, 25, not even longer than that. Let's say 30 years ago,
He wasn't born.
When I'm watching, Carl wasn't born yet, and I'm a kid and I'm watching. Well, I guess it was even longer than that. Man, I'm old. I guess it'd be closer to, 35, 40 years ago. And I'm watching, Don Prudhomme, right? In a fuel funny car, barely tickle into the fives. And if you would have asked me, would, a sportsman person ever be able to have a car that goes that fast, I would have been like, you're out of your mind. Yet here we are in 2018, and I mean, Carl, what would your car, if you tuned your car up, what would it run in the quarter mile? I mean, would you hit...
No, okay, so it's funny, it was on a real soft tune-up, and we went to, we picked it up from Dave Landing from it being wired, and we brought it to New Media, which you're not going to set track record at New Media. You got high elevation, everything else, and it was just a bunch of timing ramped out of it, light tune-up, and I took it straight from being wired, warmed it up, brought it right down there, like, you going to make a pass? I'm like, yeah, if it shifts and it feels good, yeah, I'll send her down through there in a quarter. And I went 6:59, 2:05, and I didn't even baby the car. I went through the trap 7,400. So it was like, all I had to do was throw some pulley and some timing to it and everything. And I mean, I could dip that car down 620, like, no problem.
That is just absolutely unbelievable to me. And I mean, how is, from a drivability standpoint, I mean, is the car easy to drive?
Yeah, I try to get people to drive it all the time, but everybody kind of gets, it's too fast. So I don't know if it's just how Dan sets up his chassis or if it's his car, but I mean, it's such a smooth ride. It's so nice. I mean, it's unbelievable. You got to get acclimated to the rate at which you come on people, the speed difference.
Right.
But I mean, as far as consistency and everything and drivability, I mean, it's unreal. It's just like a 760 car, except you're going 660. It's unbelievable.
Right. And I mean, I have never been in a situation where I've been chasing guys. I mean, so now you're going to big dollar bracket races. You're running anything from cars, basically, let's call it as fast as you are, to guys that are running, I don't know, what's the slowest car you're going to see at a big dollar bracket race? I mean, maybe 11 seconds flat?
Yeah, I mean, I ran at New Media just after Dragway 42. I raced, we were racing 1,000 foot, and I was dialed like 564 or something like that,
yeah,
1,000. And I raced Peter Biondo, and he was dialed like 806 or something in 1,000. So, I mean, that's low 11s.
Yeah. Wow.
So, yeah, I mean, and you can even, I mean, certain other races you go to, they can even dip into the higher 11s or low 12s. I mean, it's, thank God for starting line enhancer, because I'll tell you what, it's a spot.
So how do you judge that kind of racer? Is it really impossible to judge? You just basically hold it to the floor, unless it's ridiculous. Let's call it, if it's a close race, you just hold it at the floor and hope you get there?
So I mean, sometimes. I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you. You gotta have a different game plan for every opponent. But like when I raced Greg Rose there in the final for the 75, I was dialed 432. He was dialed 644. So I mean, you're just over a 2-second spot. And I'm going 164 and change, and
he was 110.
I knew I was going by him pretty early. So with that, you have to decelerate long before you ever get to the back of his car, because I mean, you slingshot around so fast,
right,
that by the time you think about lifting and you're already by, I mean, you're going to take a minute finish line and break out.
Right.
So
how does
the more passes you get under your belt, you kind of learn the rate at which you come on them, and it becomes easier.
So it really just gets down to the same old thing, seat time.
Ha.
Yes. Yep. For sure.
So now in that particular race, that 75 grander, so how many rounds was that?
That was 10 rounds.
And I say Chris wasn't on camera. You had to see Chris's face when you said that.
That's miserable. That's a lot of racing.
And
it was. We started at 10. We ran first round at 10 o'clock a.m. and I ran the final at like 10:20 p.m. 12 and a half hours. No time shot. It's a marathon race, but I mean it really makes you focus, in the earlier rounds and try to do your best to stay steady and be consistent for the entire race. You need obviously you need some luck, but being consistent and staying in it with your mentality is crucial.
Now, are you when you're doing these races, are you, I guess I would say, all in that are you double entered and fully prepared to basically buy back every opportunity you get if you have to?
Yes, I'm double entered, and if I have to, when I won the 75 on Sunday, I lost first round with the dragster. I gave back the finish line first round and bought back, and that paid off. I mean, I've won just as many races from the buyback lane as not. You just got to throw a little extra money to make some money, I guess. I'm fortunate enough that my dad is the backer for everything, so there's sometimes we don't see eye to eye on it, and there's just sometimes where I feel like I'm not driving very well, so I'll just save the money completely. But I mean, if you're driving well and you just lose a good race, there's no reason not to buy back if it's offered.
I was just going to ask, how have you, if you've ever made the decision to not buy back, and if you have, what have you used as criteria to do that? And because I will say that I've certainly been out at the track and felt like, I guess I don't necessarily know that I felt like that I just haven't been driving well, but I've certainly known that I've been at the track when I haven't had a handle on the car conditions and everything else, and said, you know what, I'm basically just trying to play the lottery if I buy back. There's no sense in doing this at this point in time, and pack my stuff up and go home.
If I feel like I got too much of a spread, like reaction time wise, or maybe I went out there first round and like kind of flinched on the button, or and then I come back, maybe I lose both cars first round and I sucked it up both first rounds, and then
right.
I come back and then I bought back with one and I just absolutely sucked it up again. I'm just like, well, roll the dice here. What's the chances? I don't want
right.
to get you don't want to get quadded. Me and Pete Agnolo were talking about it at Maryland. It's like you don't want to get quadded, so you just kind of save the buyback money and not get the quad.
Right. Yikes. I was going to say that one of the things that Chris asked earlier, and I know that you go down to Florida. I mean, you travel all over to bracket race. Are you racing 12 months of the year?
No, I wish. I mean, my season started the earliest it ever has this year. We went to Reynolds, Georgia in March, but usually I don't get out until end of May, or sometime in May, and then I'll do the Winter Series just so I can race in November. But then I'm always off at least 4 months. So I don't. It would be nicer to go earlier, but being upstate New York, I'm sure you guys know. I mean, when we went to Reynolds, Georgia, I dug the trailer out of 2 feet of snow with a track machine just so we could go there. I mean, the motorhome wasn't de-winterized, there was nothing in the cars and everything else. We got to Reynolds and had to do everything, all the maintenance on it when we got there. So, normally we don't get out till May sometime.
Huh.
Now, would you say, if you were to look at as far as your success this season compared to other seasons, let's say that not winning the $75,000. I mean, that notwithstanding, but if you were to let's just say that was a normal, decent bracket race. How would you say that this season is compared to others? I mean, do you think that this has been your most successful season, and would you say you could attribute it potentially to getting out earlier and having more seat time this year?
I think as far as money winning. This has definitely been my best season.
Yeah.
As far as like just wins throughout, if I won like 5s or 10s or
Right.
20s or things like that, local race stuff like that. I mean, I've won a lot more races in different years.
Yep.
And but that's the great thing about SFG. I mean, you can go, okay, you go win a $5,000, and you obviously deal or whatever else with the guy in final, and you might walk out there with 4 or 3,500 or whatever else. Whereas you just go 7 rounds and make the split in a 50 or 100, and you're going to make anywhere between 3,500 and $5,000 just for going that 7 rounds.
Right.
So money wise, this has been my greatest year.
Yeah.
And yeah, I probably attribute to, and it's weird too because I tell people when I made that long Facebook post too, is me and my dad talked about earlier in the year, we were going to sacrifice the local racing and save the money.
Yep.
That you would spend week after week racing normally for 1,000 or 2,000, 1,500, 1,200, whatever it is, entry fee for 2 cars and gas, travel, food, all that stuff.
Yep.
And you save that and don't race that for a couple weeks, and you save it and go to these SFG races or the Triple Crown races or what have you. I mean, you're going to race just as much as you would have the month that you would have raced local, but you race for infinitesimally more money.
Right.
So that's the gamble we took, and
Yep.
it seemed to has paid off this year.
So what's what's next on the schedule for you then?
Rockingham hundreds.
You sound like you are looking forward to those races very much.
Yeah, I can't wait. It's funny. I keep telling my dad because I've been so close so many times, and my biggest supporter there is my dad, and I tell him all the time, I'm going to win him a 50. I'm going to win him a 50. I'm going to win him a 50. Right. I just didn't ever capitalize on it. And then I won a 75. I'm like, there, Dad, I did it for you. He's like, nah, you didn't win me a 50, and now you got to win me 100. So I guess he gave me new goals to shoot for him. So yeah, I look forward to it. I've never, knock on wood, I've had really good luck whenever I go to a track for the first time. And that was my first time at 42, and I did well. And I've never been to Rockingham, so I'm kind of hoping the juju stays true.
Right.
Nice. Yeah, well.
I was to say...
and I feel pretty good. I'm rolling on a good little roll right now and feel pretty confident. So my equipment's good, and I feel good, so I'm ready.
I mean, the last 2 races you've been to, were those the races at Dragway 42 and Empire?
I went Dragway 42, and I won on Sunday, and then we went to New Media, had their New Media 150 at 10-20-10, and I ended up winning a $5,000 high rollers race on Saturday, and then I went to Empire the following Saturday and runnered up to Thomas Fletcher in the $10,000 final.
Right. So that's your
with a brand new car that we just picked up.
Well, that's a brand new car that you're driving now?
Yeah, we Gary Taylor Race Cars. He built it. We bought it from Steve Taylor out of Ohio, and raced it a little bit at New Media, but it had some like fuel issues, and we got it straightened around and brought it to Empire. And Friday night, my dad was late rolling into the gate, so I just used the one that was in the back of the trailer, and that was the Pro Charge car, and we got to 9 cars with the Pro Charger, and they ended up splitting it. And then the very next day, I raced the new car, and I put her in the final. I mean, I got less than 20 passes on it right now, and I've already been $10,000 final with it, so that's good.
So, are you going to then, now when you're double entering, are you going to have 2 different cars that you're going to double enter with?
Yeah, usually at the SFG, it pays to double enter like door car dragster in, because that's the only way you could run yourself in the final, because it's set up that to a dragster run a door car.
Yeah.
If you race 2 dragsters, and you manage to go 9 rounds with each, you would have to run yourself to go to the final, which is not a bad deal. I watched Pollard do it at 131 on the door car side, which, I mean, that's guaranteeing yourself huge money.
Right.
So that's not a bad thing. But everybody, I think, wants to do the ultimate of run yourself in the final.
Right. And so now you guys are going to try that too. So that's the next goal: win 100 and run yourself in the final.
Yeah, that would be amazing. I mean, I probably won't get to run myself in a final. My dad bought the other car so he can kick me out of his truck so he can drive.
Okay.
Old man's going to get back in there, so I'll just be running both dragsters, I'm sure. But you know, you never know. I could get back in that truck. That truck's a nasty machine too.
Wow.
Now, when is Rockingham?
That is the first week in October.
Okay. I would say, I mean, I mentioned to you online earlier today that, you know, we broadcast here out of Seneca Falls, and, you know, once the racing season comes to a close and things slow down a little bit for you, we'd love to have you make the drive up to from Binghamton here and join us in the studio some evening.
Oh, that would be great. I would love it. I appreciate you guys for even thinking of me and having me. It's a great honor. I appreciate you guys.
Well, it's hard not to have been thinking about you, honestly, Carl. You're out there and kind of setting the world on fire, I will say. Unfortunately for you, I guess there's no more hiding anymore for you, right?
I mean, it's yeah. I felt like I've been a constant, you know, force, but it's you get overshadowed when, you know, I got a full-time job doing a tree service, and I get to race here and there when I feel like, you know, and when my dad can afford to go and stuff like that, and usually make hay when the sun shines. But
right.
Just this year, I think it's really put me on the map. So.
Well, I'm sure you're, like I said, I'm sure you're going to continue to do well. I would say any sponsors before we let you go. Any sponsors that you'd like to plug before we let you go?
Just Richie Forbes, Diamond Race Cars. My dad's the biggest sponsor. Don't got nobody backing me or helping. It's mainly my dad. Some, you know, local guys, Jack Riome, he helps me out a lot with different stuff that needs to be done at the track. Jack and Cody. Jim Potenziano helps a lot at the house with doing some maintenance and some work. And other than that, just the big unit.
All right. Well, Chris, did you have anything else that you wanted to ask Carl?
No, not yet. We'll get with Carl probably mid-October.
After he wins 100?
Right. That's
okay.
We'll save some of the.
I hope so. Fingers crossed.
That'd be just fine, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would be just fine. Yes.
I can't even imagine what it would be like to run yourself for anything. You know what I mean? To win your side of the bracket. I mean, the final, like you said, that's got to be the ultimate for that kind of money. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, it'd be amazing. I mean, I'm not gonna be greedy. I wouldn't have to run myself. I'll just take a single entry and try to do it that way. But
honestly,
let the chips fall where they may.
For sure.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I would love to say that I knew what it was like to have a big check with 5 digits on it, right? I've never done that, right. So I don't even know what that's like.
Yeah, for sure.
Like at this point, second place would be fine.
That would be a serious wall hanger.
Yeah.
But, you know, okay, so I got to run against somebody and I lose in the finals when the winner took home $75,000.
Who cares?
I'll never see that guy again.
Right.
Not bad. Well, Carl, man, I appreciate you coming on the show and hanging out with us for a little while.
All right. Thank you guys for having me.
Thank you very much. Good luck, Carl.
Best of luck in Rockingham.
Thank you guys, too.
All right. Thanks. Take care.
There goes Carl Drake slipping in just under the wire on the battery limits of our adjusted production system tonight.
Hey, it worked.
It did everything it needed to do, right?
Right. Yeah, it probably. I know it wasn't pretty. I guess in front of the camera as we were trying to host a show and work through some of the technical issues at the same point in time. But
we put all our eggs in one basket,
right?
And that's what happens. That's what it is. I'm sure that the 6 people watching don't care.
It was probably. I'm sure it was probably still an entertaining show.
It was a good. I thought it was good. Ted's awesome. I love talking to it. We've had him on a couple times.
Yeah, he's a good guy. He's a good guy to hang out at the track and have a Molson Canadian with.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's a good guy.
What was the Molson that came in the green bottle? Molson Golden.
Oh, Molson Golden.
Is that what that was?
Yeah, very good. Very good,
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it's good to remember. It's awful to taste.
I would say I should have known that, though. My good friend John McGowan, they always had golden retrievers, and their one dog name was Molson.
Yeah.
And it made sense, right? I should have known that it was Molson Golden, but that was a good memory.
It works now and then.
I'm not a Molson fan myself, but
no. We were on a Molson Canadian kick for a while. We always had some Molson Canadian in the fridge. At some, at any given point, there was 6 of them in there. But those days have since passed.
My wife still drinks Labatt. I mean, and I don't mind Labatt, but I never liked Molson. I don't know why.
Have you seen the fridge on the back patio? It's way out. It's
Probably
outside
not.
all the time.
Yeah, probably not.
That was our beer fridge for the longest time, and you could go to that at any given time, and there was 8 to 10 different types of beer to pick from in there. But
which I'm sure your neighbors probably did.
That was one of the reasons why it was always so well stocked. Billy had an eclectic taste, and if he decided he wanted Yingling Black and Tans, he was going to finish all of them in that fridge.
Right.
Well, in the wintertime, you could see there was 2 or 3 trails of
footsteps.
footsteps from his back door around our fridge and back to his house. Yeah, it was not uncommon in the morning to get a text message. It's like, you're out of Old Milwaukee. I don't remember. When did that happen? Yeah, I finished it all.
I know I had a few in there.
Yep. Well, what do you think?
Well, I think episode 47, is that what you said?
47. I was doing some math.
Yep.
Going back through production numbers.
Yep.
And this one puts me, for hosted or produced podcasts total with the stuff that we did live.
Yeah.
Somewhere's in the vicinity of like 620, 630,
Wow.
something like that. And that's a low count because we didn't count all the stuff we did at Blizzard Bash and
Right.
Kansas, and it's been a lot. So it was pretty cool. 47 started to click off on some of the other people that didn't make it as long as we have. It's kind of fun.
But see, I mean, that's something that not only you enjoy, but you're good at.
Some people think so.
Maybe not as a host. You're a good video producer.
I suppose. I'm really good at clicking buttons.
That's right.
That's all I got to worry about. I don't know what happened on Monday. We were here Monday, and we called a guy, and I put it over to put it in, and it went to his voicemail. So I just shut it off, never mind anything, and called the next guy, put him in. I look over, and I'm tracking the audio, and it's not even showing up, and somehow I killed line 1.
Oh.
I don't know if I hit the cable, if I knocked it, if I hit one of the dials. But when you talk about being 600 in, you shouldn't be shutting off lines. You know what I mean? But
I still contend that we need to have a full-time producer so you can concentrate on being a host.
it would be nice, but you've got as much as you're getting.
I say it's not in the budget. Is that what you're saying?
I'm not seeing it.
Good, yeah.
I'm not seeing it, but it is what it is. We've juggled a lot tonight with everything that was going on. The TNT Super Series, I felt kind of dumb about that. I went back and I found his oldest archive on record was 2008, and he was talking about it being 10 years. I'm like, well, there was 9 races that year. He was like, actually, that's not the season I was talking about.
Yeah.
So, okay, well, your website said it.
Hey, you tried.
It was the closest we were going to get. Yeah, we'll have to see what we can do. It'd be neat to catch up with Ted and see what there is to see over there.
Yeah, it should be a good weekend. It should be fun for sure. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, you're going to start at 9:30 in the morning and wrap up at 2 a.m.?
No. We're going to start at 9:30 in the morning and hopefully wrap up at like 6 p.m. and then be able to enjoy our evening, I'm hoping. Yeah.
You're on something there.
Yeah, exactly.
You're on something there.
That's the goal, so.
All right, well, I think that's going to do it for this edition of the final round. Gave you a nice hour and 15 minutes to digest. Episode 47's in the books. We'll catch up with you again in a couple weeks. We're back here to cover more sportsman drag racing action from in and around Western New York. We'll see everybody then.
This has been the Final Round Drag Racing Podcast, coming to you live from the FingerLakes1.com studios in downtown Seneca Falls, New York. We'll see you right back here again in 2 weeks. Thanks for watching.